Good morning, my friends.
Good morning.
How are you? You okay? Not okay? Well, I do remember and cherish the joy that lives in this community and this place, and it's a privilege and a thrill to be here again. And I also know that we are carrying heartbreak with us these days. So much in the world is breaking our hearts. Mary Oliver speaks to the devastation around us in her way in a poem about the loons that are dying from nothing we can see. The poem is entitled Lead. She starts, before she tells their sad story, she writes, "Here is a story to break your heart. Are you willing?" And then, after she paints the picture of the death of the loons, she closes like this: "I tell you this to break your heart, by which I mean that it break open and never again close to the rest of the world." She is reminding us that if we close our eyes to the heartbreak, we will not see the beauty. Are you willing? It's a big ask, an ask that I believe is best received in the context of spiritual community. Because in this sanctuary and its extensions, in the rhythm of our breathing together, in the music, in the laughter, in the tears, in the memory, and the hope, so much is possible. Not because we leave what is broken outside these walls, but because our faith invites us into each other's company so that we can imperfectly strive to face together the world as it is, rife with devastation, and so beautifully ripe with joy. Thank you so much for welcoming me. I wasn't quite prepared, though. I called John this morning and told him how incredibly nervous I was to come today, but seeing your faces and your warm welcome has been just a wonderful gift. I thank you so much for this warmth. And I want to thank Charlotte for her warm welcome and invitation to share this morning the power of our faith as a foundation for the impactful human rights work that UUSC has the privilege of being part of. I've actually been in Alabama for the last week on a Living Legacy pilgrimage. And Charlotte, I'm so glad to say, accepted my invitation to join this group that was traveling together of UUSC supporters and staff. It was a powerful, beautiful experience. We learned a lot, and it was so wonderful having Charlotte with us. And not that anybody asked my opinion, but I did have to check her out. And, oh, y'all, what a gift Charlotte has for ministry and presence and prophecy and community building. And I am so happy for her that she has the gift of this congregation's ministry. And I am so happy for you that she is your minister. And I'm delighted to meet Reverend Jennifer, who I met for the first time this morning. This is a good time in the history of this congregation. So it has been over 30 years since the first time I was the minister here. I really can't believe that. But I want you to know I am still keenly aware of how you grew my courage as a person and a minister, how you shaped who I have become as a minister, and I remain so grateful for this. I hope I bring what you helped me to learn to my ministry at UUSC. This ministry, I could never have dreamed it. This ministry is both a terrific privilege and I feel a deep responsibility in this role at UUSC to the legacy, over 85-year legacy of our work for human rights. In all my years as a UU minister, 28 of them serving congregations, I did not understand the work that UUSC was doing around the world. I just knew a very surface level. It has become my passion to bring the good news about UUSC's work to our congregations and to Unitarian Universalists so that you can also be part of it. And I hope you will find me and Rachel at the table. And if you are not already a member, I hope you will join us and support this work. And I also hope that you feel and understand this work, UUSC's work, as a natural extension of your own powerful and impactful work in this community in Nashville and in Tennessee, where your values are needed. This morning, the stories I'm going to share are from the global work that we are doing, just two stories. But Rachel and I would love to tell you after the service more about how we're responding right now in the United States to the authoritarian grabs for power and the assault on human rights here in this country. So today's invitation and practice is to hearts broken open. It's a big ask, but I think we all know that hardening our hearts will not protect us from heartbreak. And at church, we're here for all of it, because we know we're not alone, and because we do not measure success in terms of delusions of perfection or some narrow category of supremacy, or even in the length of our days. We measure our success by our faithfulness to love and the web of life that holds us all. We do not promise a salvation from death or from suffering that we can earn. Am I right? We promise. I used to know how not to make that happen. We do not promise a salvation from death or suffering that we can earn, but a universal liberation that frees us to love, to experience beauty, even in the face of brokenness. This, my friends, is a story to break your hearts. So I was visiting Columbus, Ohio, doing what I often do on a weekend, planning to visit the church the next day. And I woke up on Saturday morning, and it was one of those Saturdays, I don't know if you've had this, where there was bad national news. I can't quite remember what it was that particular day. Let's see, the list is so long. I was feeling heartbroken. I couldn't find my energy, my hope. And so before preaching the next day at the church, I decided I would visit the Columbus Museum of Art. I thought this would help me wake up, come alive, find my hope again. But honestly, friends, I was dragging my feet, and I was about to leave the museum, still feeling deflated and concerned, when I turned a corner, and there she was. Alison Saar's Nocturne Navigator. She stood there larger than life, watching. Her head was held high and her arms bent at the elbow, hands open, welcoming, inviting, definitely brokenhearted. She took my breath away. I don't know how long I stood there in the middle of the gallery, just gazing at her. But I do know that my whole person changed. My breathing shifted, it deepened. She changed everything about what I was seeing. After however long I stood there, I walked into the room where I could see more clearly that the matte black finish of her skirt was spotted with tiny lights. They looked like stars. It was only then that I walked outside the room and learned that her towering figure commemorates the Underground Railroad. That explained her anguish and the inviting love. If you are ever in Columbus, go see her. The scholar Elaine Scarry describes the transcendent and transformative power of beauty in a little book called On Beauty and Being Just. Scarry contends that when we experience beauty, we're changed. Like it happened to me, our gaze fixes, our mind clears, our heart opens. She goes so far as to say beauty brings us to life, awakens us. And, she says, beauty confronts us. It demands something of us. And this is because in order to behold beauty, we actually have to de-center ourselves. We have to step aside and encounter the other without reference to ourselves for the fullness of beauty to be experienced. And as we step aside, what happens is we make possible a relationship that creates room for the utter subjectivity of the other. We make room for the possibility that our experience of the other is independent of who we are, has its own worth apart from ourselves, its own wholeness, holiness, dignity, power, the beauty of another, apart, different from our own beauty. Percy Shelley calls this the great secret of mortals. The great secret of mortals to be able to recognize beauty outside of ourselves. When we put ourselves in the place of another or many others, the pains and pleasures of our species, of our planet, become our own. The great instrument of mortal good, he wrote, is this kind of imagination and ability to encounter beauty. And this is no small thing. Beauty, our practice of encountering and experiencing beauty, is not a small thing. Because when a relationship shifts in this way, it becomes impossible for us to tolerate injustice. When I first started working at UUSC, I was afraid. I don't think I've ever told you this. It was actually the thing that was on my mind when I was deciding about going to UUSC. I was really not sure that how I would bear the day-to-day encounter with people around the world who are facing so much violence and suffering. If I had said that out loud, my colleagues probably would have explained what actually happened is that I have discovered more beauty, more joy, and more hope in this work than I have ever found anywhere else. So we were in New York City several years ago. It was Climate Week, and we were supporting our partners, the Pacific Island Students Fighting Climate Change, and preparing for a session to describe the work they were doing, trying to get the attention of the world, young adults from the Pacific, trying to get the attention of the leaders of the world And as we were preparing, the thing that surprised me was not the stories they told about their homelands, the livelihoods lost, the future so completely uncertain. What surprised me was that they did not put the heartbreak at the center. Instead, they built their case for justice around the beauty that we are trying to protect. They did this not only in their stories and their vision for change, but even in the way they decorated the room before the program. Rachel got a call on her cell phone as we were walking in the streets of New York City, asking us to please pick up more plants. The room wasn't ready yet, and they needed more green, more life in the room. Bringing the beauty in was as important to them as anything else. That was 2022. UUSC was one of the Pacific Island students' very first partners. We funded their travel to attend one of the climate conferences, an earlier one, as they were organizing their campaign to get the attention of world leaders. And you know what? They did. 23 law students from the Pacific, with the sponsorship of the nation of Vanuatu, brought a resolution to the United Nations that passed by unanimous consent. And just last year, the International Court of Justice ruled for them that powerful nations in the world that are devastating homelands of small island nations, and really so many nations around the world and our planet, that they are accountable, that these large nations creating this harm are accountable. Previous to this ruling, there had not been an international framework of accountability for the impacts of climate destruction. So the obscene profits that have been growing and growing in large, powerful nations in the world, the court says, need to be used for repair, for rebuilding. Because this world, rife with possibility, replete with beauty, is worth saving. And all people deserve to thrive. One more story. Just over a year ago, UUSC sponsored a convening in Thailand with our partners from Burma, also known as Myanmar. Over 2.5 days, we learned about their struggle for freedom in the midst of the military's ongoing attacks against their own people. This happens. 15 UUSC partner organizations shared about the work they are doing and that UUSC and you are helping to fund to protect communities in this dangerous time, and the work they are doing as part of the movement for a multi-ethnic democracy. They have a vision for a true multi-ethnic democracy. Could I get an amen for a true multi-ethnic democracy? Their stories were so brave, so creative, so painful, so powerful. But one of the highlights of our trip is that we happened to be there on the 25th anniversary of the Women's League of Burma. Now, perhaps you know that there are 33 distinct ethnic groups in Burma, and the last 25 years in Burma's history, and even more, has been a period of extreme ethnic hatred, violence, and even genocide. Religious nationalists in Burma have created their own powerful narratives of supremacy to justify their consolidation of power and wealth. I do need to say that one again. Religious nationalists have created their own powerful narratives of supremacy to justify their consolidation of power and wealth. It happens. So the very existence of the Women's League of Burma, a religiously and ethnically diverse coalition of Burmese women, it's remarkable. In the midst of all this ethnic infighting and hate, their very existence is remarkable. And that they gathered 25 years ago, 15 years before the early glimpses of democracy, though tainted with military power, in the election of Aung San Suu Kyi, who of course now remains in prison. So these women representing Burma's ethnic and religious diversity are still holding this vision for inclusive democracy, even since the violent military coup that happened in February of 2021. Today, they're working for democracy as their homes are hit with brutal air attacks by the nation's military, and so many of their duly elected leaders and companions in the struggle remain in jail. That night, at their gala celebration, the joy and the vision overwhelmed those of us who were visiting from UUSC. It was in the days after that I came to see the courage of it, to really kind of take in what a brave thing it is they are doing. The danger in the beauty of their wildly diverse and colorful dress, the full expression of their culture and identity, their unapologetic expression of their culture and identity, unhindered for that night in that room by the narratives of hate and division that seek to silence and erase. Their beauty is their resistance. They are determined to create a space where no one is shunned for their religion, their culture, their gender. They will not be silenced. They will not be erased. Elaine Scarry describes how the relationship between the beholder and the beheld creates a transformative possibility, a kind of pact. She writes, "This begins as the beholder and beheld exchange a reciprocal salute to the continuation of one another's existence. And this reverence and this promise expands outward and beyond as a radical sense of the value of all life. This pact, this transformation leads us to our work as partners in creation, creating, protecting, and preserving what is beautiful, what is alive, working for a world where all people may thrive and where our planet is cherished and protected." This is a story to break your heart. Are you willing? Are you ready? Are you willing? Are you ready? Rebecca Parker, UU theologian Rebecca Parker, I'm going to close with her beautiful words about the call of beauty. Beauty confronts us with the requirement that we place ourselves among the saviors, the redeemers, the leaders in the protection of life. Once you have seen the bush on fire, you are not going to get out of the assignment unless you close your eyes to the beauty. But if you have seen, if you have taken off your shoes, tasted the blackberries, felt the tenderness of love, if you have seen how the full force of soul is in each child that comes into this world, you either have to close your eyes or go back to Egypt and set your people free. Let's go.